Hello and welcome to today's Nexus report. We're going to cover a move made by Leviton as they replace Seo with Snaker, and then talk about the LEC as we head into spring. They're playing this weekend as our CB Lol, so tomorrow, barring crazy roster moves where I don't have enough room on two boards, we will be talking about CB Lol. So, speaking of that, Leviton. So, Seo is out. Seo, a very different player than Snaker. I talked up Seo a lot in his video when he went to VKS, thinking Ackerman was his support because I think Ackerman is such a good support. And I mixed him up with Toplop. Not to say that Toplop isn't a solid support in his own right, but Ackerman is statistically just insane. But regardless, Snaker, very different than Seo. Seo, aggressive, deals a lot of damage, dominated lane alongside Toplop. Now, Snaker, last year, had a 4 KDA, 66 KP, but only a 9.1 CS per minute, very low, with a 146 ROI and a 1 share differential. He did not offer a carry threat quite like Seo did this past split. And I understand meta was different in 2025, but I do have my reservations about Leviton now with Snaker in the lineup. 251 vision efficiency, behind 150 gold, 150 XP. Had a couple solo kills. Did have a wide champion pool. I mean, he played like 13, 14 different champions or so. But still, I don't think this move made the team better. Let's just put it that way. We'll see what happens, but I don't think they got better doing this move. Now, LEC power rankings. There's a couple things on here. One, it is the outright ranking there is based on player stats only. So the power rankings yesterday, represented here, are the team stats. I consider player stats, individual stats, different than team stats. Player output, is only indicative of a player's skill by themselves. This takes into account the team. What the fuck is the team doing? Are they playing macro well? Are they getting objectives? Are they leading in gold? The kill death ratio? The CS discrepancy in versus your opponent, early game, late game, shit like that. So that's how that comes into play. SL, solo lane, mid jungle, bot lane duo combined. Power ranking, regular season results from winter, playoff finish. And there's something to be said for that because this is best of ones, this is best of threes and fives. So a different vibe, which is why we see a difference for some of these teams. Because you see the ranking here and people are going to say, why are Koi 6th? Koi finished 3rd. Well, a couple reasons. One, 6th in the regular season, tied with G2. Technically, when I did the tiebreakers, I understand, they did do an order. I actually put in my own tiebreakers. That's why Fnatic actually are 9th and Shifters are 8th. Because theoretically, if I were to compare Shifters and Fnatic, Shifters beat Fnatic, so I would have them above them. But first, let's go over some player rankings. G2 being first, no surprise. No surprise here. KC, second, not a shocker. But then you have the teams like Na'Vi, Vitality, Giant X above Koi. And as far as Na'Vi and Vitality are concerned, very young teams. And that doesn't factor in necessarily into the player stats. The player stats are just outright stats. Solo lanes with Maintner and Poby, tied for 6th in the region. They're not upper half. They're mid, but that's fine. You have a rookie top laner, older, and then Poby, who's pretty much roughly, I guess, a second-year player if you factor in his LCK games plus his Fnatic games last year. But where they're strong is that bot lane duo. Samdi and Paras have played extremely well. And that's not a big surprise because you look at the Korean imports when they come into the LEC and they tend to do pretty damn well at the AD carry role. Castoffs, Ice, Noah to think about prior to Samdi. And then Paras alongside him was a great support last year, statistically very strong. And BDS let him go. And he went to Na'Vi and he's done it very well. Rylich in the jungle role is insane. He was ranked statistically better than Yike, but we do know Yike is superior just as a player. But Rylich as a rookie doing that is notable. If he keeps doing that, I'm just going to bang the drum that he is one of the best junglers in the LEC and in the West. If he can mimic that all season long, it's going to be very hard to not respect him as one of the top junglers in the West. But it's only been one split, so we'll hold our horses. Vitality, though, you see 7th and 7th. Carzzy and Fleshy in the bot lane, extremely aggressive. Both of them nearly leading their roles in ROI. I think Fleshy was second and Carzzy was first. Extremely aggressive. Now, solo lanes, Knock Knocko. A lot of people like Knock Knocko. People that don't even really watch LEC, but, just kind of from afar, know who Knock Knocko is. And then you have Humanoid. And whether people like or dislike Humanoid, statistically, outside of one bad split last year, he's been one of the best mids domestically for several years now. So this notion that he sucks is definitely fake. Cannot be backed up in anything besides, anything domestically outside of that one split. Statistically, consistently strong. And that's what's kind of carrying them here. Because Koi, the solo lane struggled. Mirwin and JoJo left a lot on the bone during the season in winter. Their bot lane duo, Supa Alvaro, their strongest part. Giant X kind of middle of the road across the board there. They're just middle of the road all the way. Heretics, 10th in the bot lane duo because of Wei. I expect Ice and Wei to be better than the worst bot lane in the LEC. I expect them to be better than Fnatic with ease. I expect them to be better than SK, probably Vitality, and you're already looking at a team that's moving up these rankings and probably end up being in that conversation with a Na'Vi, Vitality, Giant X, and Koi. They're not separated in 7th. They're going to be in the middle of that midst there. But there is something to be said because Ice knows he's on borrowed time. Who knows what's going to happen? Sheo, very strong. That's why the mid-jungle duo ranked 3rd. Saren was no slouch either. I think I had him upper half as well. And Trayson in the top lane, a player I mentioned in a podcast I did yesterday with an individual, MSK, that Trayson is somebody that people aren't paying attention to either. And he is cracked. He is a very good player. Shifters, bot lane duo here. Poddick and Trimby are extremely strong. Poddick had a 7.7 share differential, dragging his team to whatever wins they had. They went 5 and 6, I believe, and he dragged them there. You do not end up with a 7.7 share differential unless you're trying to 1v9. I think he had like a 34 damage share, the highest in the region by far. And then Trimby is still a very strong support. SK Wonder still has it statistically, offering like a 5% share differential in top lane, which is insane. Way higher than everyone else. And then Fnatic are at the bottom. Fnatic just very disappointing. Like, I was shocked when the stats bared them out 10th place. And you may say, yeah, but they sucked. Yeah, they did, but I didn't think they were worse than SK, and they were. So, player-wise, it's kind of how it panned out. Now, power rankings, the way the teams are, it's relatively close. Top 3 are the top 3. Then you have Koi, Vitality, Giant X in the team rankings, which is why Koi are able to leapfrog teams like that in the playoffs. Because they play better macro. They've got more games under their belt. I mean, maybe not Giant X. Giant X outside of, Giant X has played a lot of games as well. But Koi just more cohesive and better in playoffs. And over here, that's represented by finishing 3rd, right? Because teams like Na'Vi, Vitality, Giant X, especially Na'Vi, Vitality, they need to get more games under their belt. Their coaches do as well. Both first-time head coaches in the LEC, where you have a team like Koi, been there, done that, been to international events, and are going to win those best of 3s and best of 5s against teams that are a little more underprepared for the moment. And that's not to say that they didn't prepare, I guess, is what I'm saying, but they need to experience that and understand where they need to grow in a format like that at a tier 1 level. So I expect Na'Vi and Vitality to be much more competitive in spring than they were in winter. I know some people were critical of Na'Vi being as highly ranked as they were in my power rankings prior to first stand. They were like, why the hell are they up here pretty much? And it's like, statistically, they've been very strong. Some teams are going to be like that. And you're not going to really, you're not going to, you're not going to realize it. And once they finally get their shit together in a best of 5 setting. If they do, like, oh well, I mean, we were kind of ringing the bell there. So that's that. And lastly, I made a big tweet, I guess, last night about thinking that women should be able to play at a tier 1 level. That it seems statistically, it just doesn't make sense how we had thousands of LEC players. Maybe not thousands, but I mean, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, I have the Hall of Fame documents. I doubt anyone's done as extensive research as I have, so I could go through that and actually see how many LEC players there have been all time. But the fact that there are no women when 12% of the player base are women, and video games are video games, there are no physical barriers that would indicate to me why a woman could not compete with a man at the same level, over just the aggregate, just a thought there, just like makes sense. Is just it's wild to me that it's never happened. So yeah, I know some people believe that it has something to do with the discourse this week. If you actually have watched my channel, you might be new. I've made a couple videos about this topic prior. That statistically it doesn't make any sense that there are no women in Tier 1, because theoretically a 12% player base should spread throughout the ladder, similar to men, only because men and women have the equal ability to succeed. Unless one has the notion or bias or thought in the back of their head thinking there should be something holding women back. I've seen some stupid shit like spatial awareness. I've seen the thought that they just aren't very competitive, which obviously is not true because you have women's sports. I've seen, men and women play in different physical sports. Yes, it's physical. I do not bother with that shit. But as far as video games are concerned, the West cannot afford to blow off players based on gender. And that's not, and you could say to yourself, yeah, well, what are you saying? The East could? The East could probably get away with blowing off like 100 of their first players they try out and still beat the West. Like, that's not, like, it doesn't matter. They could pick the 101st best player in the tryout and they're probably beating the LCS and LEC. If you think about it, you've got 50 players, you got 100 players between challengers and LCK. I'm sure if you get the 5 best players after that, they are competitive in the LEC and LCS. So they could probably afford it. Where LEC and LCS, you see things, and you've seen it for years. I remember Peter Dunn saying something years ago about, hey, I had a player, I had a woman I was going to put on the team. Player said no. And apparently, people said, oh, those things have never happened before. Oh, well, it happened one time or this or that. And if we have people, and I'm not going to pretend like everything I read on Twitter is true. I'm just saying statistically it doesn't make sense, If they're equal, if they have equal ability, then they should. And everyone's like, well, then they don't have equal ability, supposedly. But there's no source to that. There's no reason for that. It's just like they don't. It's like, okay, well, why not? And, this notion like, well, can you name a single one? No. And honestly, I can't name a single male challenger either. I don't pay attention. I don't ask players when I'm playing solo queue what their gender is in the draft. The only reason you know people's gender is because they let you know. So unless you can say you have verified every challenger player and their gender, then how can you say that there can't be some women up there? It's like you say, well, the pro players, this is their ranks. Okay. Well, who's to say there aren't women up there that just don't want to play? How many players that are in solo queue aren't pros in the challenger ranking or grandmaster? How many? How many players are playing in the LEC right now that aren't challenger, or in the LCS that aren't challenger? Oh, players don't, I saw this. Players don't have, if they try harded, if the tier 1 players try harder in solo queue, it wouldn't even be a thing. It wouldn't even be a thing. Wouldn't even be a thing. Oh, well, then, let's just say it. Women don't try, I guess, either. Now what? Now, oh, their rankings don't count. The pro women players, they also could be top of the ladder based on that schmoke's fucking response. You know, and you see just stupid shit, man. Like, oh, well, we had an all-women team, a games changer team or whatever, play against this team in the ERLs, and they lost. Okay, well, that is not indicative of everybody that is not a man. That's like saying, let's get the 5 best Romanian players, Odo on the team, right? Just for an example. And let's play him against, I don't know, heretics. Oh, well, what if they lose? Because who knows what random-ass fucking players they're going to get to try and make a team against heretics. Oh, well, they lost. Guess none of them can be in the LEC because that's what I guess because they didn't win, that everybody on the team's condemned and everybody from the country. Like, that's some stupid shit. You can't just generalize like that. So, I don't know. It's far-fetched as fuck. Anybody that's really doing it, I believe, has an inherent bias. They, for some reason, think men and women cannot play video games at the same level. And they're afraid to say why. They, like, beat around the bush because they know, oh, well, either say it or shut the fuck up. Like, the beating around the bush is, I mean, I have hot takes, so I'm not afraid to say them. Like, just say your hot take. I respect a bigot more than I'm going to respect somebody that hides their fucking thoughts. At least then I'm like, well, hey, whatever, man, it's your truth. I mean, you're a piece of shit, but that's your truth versus a coward. So, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.